I'm going to introduce now Jeffrey Ernstoff. So all of our longtime Kenyans know Jeffrey well. Our creative director since the very beginning of Ken Global. I met him at Fortune Innovation Forum in New York City in 2004 and was so impressed by his work, I didn't know if he would find the time to work with us out at Northwestern. He was excited by the opportunity, and that was the start of an 11-year collaboration. So today we're on our eighth piece of innovation. This has become his baby. I give him nearly complete artistic license. We collaborate, we bounce things off of each other, but it's really out of his head. And it's one of the things that I enjoy the most about presenting and being with you at Ken. So a few of Ernstoff's credits. This is a short version of the list. 10 years as Special Events Creative Director at Radio City Music Hall. He has masters from Harvard in arts programming, many fellowships from the NEA, Fortune Global Forums, four of those 5 Super Bowl halftime shows that he was creative director for, World Cup soccer opening ceremonies, Special Olympics opening ceremonies. I've been a consultant for multiple corporations such as Pepsi, Mercedes-Benz, Yale Medical School. Excited to say that because of the Ken, this July, Jeffrey will be working with David Krakauer, who's a longtime Kenyan, the president of the Santa Fe Institute, who will be with us tomorrow for an extraordinary segment. So they're working together on a show about the limits of human performance. And most happy to report, 3 weeks from now, Jeffrey Ernstoff will finally become a married man for the first time. My daughters, Jolie and Sage, will be the flower girls, and they are very excited about that. They said, this is our first wedding, and I said, it'll be your last one for a long time. So with that, my friend, colleague, collaborator, and inspiration, Jeffrey Ernstoff.
Big wedding gift coming up, I'm sure. Okay.
Bang, bang, clank, clank, bang. The sound of metal is a shrill clamor of hot noise, the kind that heats the eardrums and sizzles like a branding iron. Bang! Blacksmiths know how to twist metal into a new hot. It is the fire alarm of a trumpet, or a French horn on the front line of a battle cry, or the locomotion of a classical movement. But one man wanted to twist metal into a smooth catcall growl, a murmur with a drag and a drawl, southern comfort in the back of a nightclub. He wanted this metal to smoke, to be like a warm fireplace and a right cigar. He wanted to be the sound of a devil's horn, the sultry serenade, temptations against the thought of thought waves. Now, you can leave a message on the telephone if you wanna, but this here is a sax. And with this here, you can weave your music and leave your message all over these walls. With this here, you can twist metal until it talks. And when it talks, we all listen.
Very nice to see some very, very dear friends here. The saxophone was invented in 1848 by Adolf. Yeah, when you know him, you just call him right. That's it. Okay. Well, now think about it. The flute, the trumpet, the viola, violin, bassoon, none of them are named after their inventors. So why, in 1848, why is this thing called a saxophone? Anyone? Lawyers? Any lawyers here? Really egotistical. You must be a musician. No. Patent law. By 1848, patent law is in effect, okay? Now, Adolf Sax was a very difficult guy, extremely unusual for musicians. His designs were stolen, horns were built according to those stolen designs. Those horns were flawed, he built his own. There was a battle of Saxes that was staged and so on. But what makes him so interesting that here's someone who hears a sound in his head, a sound that no one else hears, and he instinctively understands metallurgy and physiology to create this sound. He heard something between the woodwinds and the brass, using a reed for articulation, like a clarinet, a simple fingering system, like the flute, for agility and speed, and a brass body, like trumpets and trombones, for power. What the saxophone really is the most successful hybrid in the history of musical instruments. And it's this hybrid nature that constantly engenders new worlds. Sam, come on in. Okay, at Etudes, we always include aspiring young artists and local institutions. And tonight, we have a freshman from the University of Miami Frost School of Music, Sam Valancy. This is actually, just so you know, a paying gig. Okay. Now, I've asked Sam to demonstrate the earliest sanctioned sound of the saxophone, how it was supposed to sound, or what came to be known as its legit sound. So first, Sam, just give us the full range of the saxophone, nice legato, easy. Now give us it with a staccato attack so you can hear some of the articulation variation. Okay, now what you just heard was the highest note that the conventional saxophone could play. But over many decades, saxophonists learned to harness inherent qualities of physical overtone series and actually extend the range of the instrument. So Sam, as Sylvester Sly of the Family Stone would say, take us higher. Very good, thank you. Okay, now the saxophone was first used in French military bands, that is, and eventually it made its way into orchestral literature. Now, Pictures at an Exhibition was a piece for solo piano by Mussorgsky. Later, Maurice Ravel orchestrated it, which, for our purposes tonight, means that he decided which of the original piano parts would be assigned to different instruments. Now, for the melody you're about to hear, from Mussorgsky's Pictures at an Exhibition, Ravel picked this sound. It is so other, so hypnotic, so ambiguous, so arresting in its uniqueness. It's a new world unto itself. Sam, a little excerpt from Pictures at an Exhibition. Sam. Now, because you've chosen a career as a musician, I'm going to say to you what was said to me when I was starting out, which is good luck. And to your parents, where are they? Where are Sam's parents? Okay. I'm going to say to you, what was said to my parents when I started out as a musician, which is, Don't worry, it will work out. Okay. Thanks a lot, Sam. Let's bring in the... Now, once the saxophone makes its way to New Orleans, it's adapted in black culture and becomes, along with the trumpet, the instrument most closely associated with jazz. In fact, you've often seen it used in print materials as an icon for jazz, even when there's no saxophone involved. Saxophone means jazz. We don't have time here for a scientific or psychoacoustic analysis, but let me just say that because of its shape, it's conical, right, instead of cylindrical, like a flute or a clarinet. And because it's applying bamboo to metal, its overtones are unique. And that makes the air vibrate and hit our eardrums in a way that is somehow fuller, richer than the other instruments that are designed to play only one note at a time. The thing that's important to realize is that these hybrid properties of the saxophone inspire its players to innovations that are very, very daring. In 1957, tenor saxophonist Sonny Rollins created the pianoless trio. Pianoless, as in no piano. Drums, bass, and saxophone, that's it. No harmony or chording instrument. This was a very radical idea. The piano was always the instrument that grounded the audience and the improvising soloist through the piece. Now, here are the chords to the song Till There Was You. Each bar lasts 4 beats. You see it symbolized by the 4 slanted lines. And the mathematical symbols above above the bars are code for the chords that the pianist is going to play. The whole band, of course, moves at the same at the same rate, all getting to each bar at the same time. And the piano will support me, the soloist. Now, here are just the first 4 bars of the chord structure. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Now, as a jazz artist, he's going to jazz it up with me a little bit, but it's going to still all fall into things that sound good with those chords. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Right? Everybody's happy. Okay. Well, we can also look at these chords as a kind of neighborhood map. You see it over there. And disregard the shape of the map. That's completely arbitrary. Okay? Every bar is one city block. So one block in this direction, then one in this direction, and so on. As jazz evolved, guys like Sonny Rollins asked, what if I want to get a half a block ahead of the band and then wait for them to catch up? What if I want to take a side street that's a detour that's not even on the map? Or what if I just have a goofy whim? Jazz players call this playing outside the chords. But if the piano was there, it's going to be very hard for him to follow me and follow me on my unpredictable route because I don't know where I'm going. Same chords, jazzing them up. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Not so great, okay? So, for that reason, let's do what Sonny Rollins did. You're fired. Thank you. Okay. Now, we're going to play Till There Was You as a trio without piano, and it's going to work. And it's going to work for 2 reasons. First, by exploiting the complex sound of the saxophone that I spoke of, it'll fill in a lot of holes that are left by eliminating the piano. Second, it's going to work by freeing me up from sticking to the conventional chord sequence of the tune. Here's, I hope, an apt analogy. It's a little like being used to talking pictures and then going to see Charlie Chaplin's The Circus. You know what's missing, and yet when you see it on a big screen that Charlie Chaplin envisioned, not on a laptop, you accept that silent film as a completely satisfying total experience. And that's because Chaplin had a hybrid of music and image that he really knew and knew what that hybrid could do. So, why did the pianoless tradition start with the saxophone? Why not the flute or the trumpet or the trombone? It's because with this hybrid and its unique sound, the sound triggers innovation beyond the sound. At Etudes, I try to include at least one segment that speaks to doing more with less. The trick is knowing which of your so-called lesser options is more. So, with Jose Velasquez at the piano and Aaron Serflati at the drums. Anybody want some water? No? Here we go. Till There Was You, inspired by Mr. Sonny Rollins. We'll get the piano player in. Just an F. Just playing F. Great, thank you. Believe me, the union will step in here, okay? Thank you. Okay, so question. How well do we realize the uniqueness of any tool at our disposal, which is the whole point of this particular etude, particularly in the case of hybrids? Do you really know what kinds of innovations your hybrid can foster? Well, finally, we have something that Adolphe Sax certainly heard in his head, the saxophone quartet, which also opened up all kinds of new worlds. How many of you have ever heard the saxophone quartet? Okay. Well, you're in for a treat. Tonight we have one of the best of these groups, the well-established Miami Saxophone Quartet, based here in... Thank you. And in Miami where people drink? Tequila, thank you. Okay. So, in order of size, soprano, alto, tenor, and the curse, also known as the curse, known as the baritone, which is what we also call a schlep. Okay. Okay. Well, these guys are going to play some very short selections for us just to show you what Adolphe Sax envisioned in terms of the way the overtones would bounce off one another. So the first is from a early classical piece entitled Allegro de Concert by Jean-Baptiste Singlet. Hopefully you can just hear how full the sound is. It's not just because it's a quartet, it's because it's saxophones, okay? Here's a little thing arranged by someone you may have heard of, Jelly Roll Morton, arranged by Fred Hall, I think, yes?
Fred Stern.
Fred Stern, Hall Stern.
1, 2, 1.
Okay, thanks, guys. So, when it comes to Adolphe Sax, besides doing more with less, what else do we have to ask ourselves? How else can we challenge ourselves? And to me, it comes down to this. How well, as I said earlier, do we really realize the uniqueness of any tool at our disposal, particularly in the case of hybrids? I mean, do we really know what kinds of innovations a hybrid can foster? How well do we see the opportunities for hybrids, not just in products, but also in services and in management styles? To close out this segment with some fun, here's the Miami Saxophone Quartet playing their brief interpretation of one of the most poignant melodies in all of Western music. It's up there with the Strauss theme used for the film 2001, or The Planets by Gustav Holst, or the film scores to The Right Stuff or Star Wars, always, always referencing the cosmos.